Hi, I'm Joe Finsternis, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you about a movie called Mama. So this film is about two sisters whose parents were tragically lost, and they've spent a few years growing up in the wild, and they've become feral. But they have an uncle who's been searching for his brother ever since he and the girls disappeared, and once he finds out that his nieces are still alive, he wants to adopt them. But once they move in, strange things start to happen, and they keep talking about this Mama, and, the people around them sort of wonder whether Mama is real or just a figment of their imagination. Although you don't really get to wonder too much about it as an audience member because they give it away at the beginning of the film. I've heard some complaints about this movie. Going into it, I've heard a lot of people say that the ghost of Mama, once she appears, is pretty underwhelming to look at. I've even heard some... Do you hear that fucking noise? I don't know what that shit is. I've even heard a couple of people say that this is in fact a terrible movie just because of the big reveal and how underwhelming it is, but that honestly didn't sound bad enough to put me off of it, so I decided to make up my own mind about it and see the film for myself. Now, the girls also have an aunt, played by Jessica Chastain in the movie, who, early on, it's pretty obvious that she does not want to have kids, but she also shows some glimpses of humanity, and she doesn't come off as a downright cold-hearted bitch, and you pretty much know where her character is going to go in the film, but the journey getting there is pretty interesting. Now, once these girls are taken out of their environment, and while they're sort of adjusting to civilization, they do come off as pretty damn creepy in the movie. Another thing that I've heard about this movie is that they're the scariest part of the film, and they do live up to the hype. There are just a lot of moments where they just come off as really creepy, and there's even a point where Jessica Chastain's character asks if she's going to be safe around these kids, and I don't really blame her. Another thing that I thought worked really well in the movie as far as the scares go is just the sound design. This is something that I normally don't comment on when it comes to movies, but, Eli Roth once said that to avoid being scared by a movie, you shouldn't cover your eyes, you should cover your ears. And this film is a perfect example because when you're hearing the sounds and the noises that Mama makes throughout the movie, it does raise a lot of the tension and the feeling of dread. Another thing that I really liked about the film is that they delve a little bit into Mama's backstory, and it is pretty disturbing, and it brings a little more menacing to her character. In fact, I personally thought that the backstory was the scariest part of the film. As for the ghost herself, is she as underwhelming as they say? Yes. The CGI does look pretty corny, and she does look kind of silly when she does finally show up. Honestly, this film would have benefited from the less is more approach. If they had just kept her as a silhouette and a blur throughout, she would have felt a lot more menacing, but just showing the whole thing up front was kind of a stupid move, to be honest. But does it make the film terrible? No. I like this movie. I like the characters. I like the story. Like I said, it had... excuse me. Like I said, it had a lot of creepy things going for it, and I thought that it was just enough to make it a fairly capable film. I would go so far as to say that, Mama's appearance in the movie does stop it from being a great movie, but like I said, it still doesn't make it a terrible movie, so I do recommend it. Just don't let the special effects ruin it for you. So that's all I've got to say about Mama. I hope you all have a good one.